Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So, we were talking about Ayatul Birr, which is ayah number 177 of Surah Al-Baqarah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the beginning of the ayah, He says, لَيْسَ الْبِرَّ أَن تُوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ قِبَلَ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ. So He says that it is not from righteousness that you turn your heads or your faces actually towards the east or the west, right? So that's not righteousness. And I discussed it yesterday in detail that these outward, just a few actions that some people take and think that that is Islam, that's not what it is. Okay? So this ayah explains what righteousness really is. And birr, the word birr, it comes from barra, okay? Or barrun is land, right? Barr wa bahr. Bahr is ocean or like seas. So bar is land, and just like land, when you're on land, you're safe, in a sense. When you're in water, you feel kind of unsafe, right? Either you're swimming or you're on a kayak or you're on a boat or whatever it may be, but you feel kind of unsafe. Why? Because any moment you could start going under the water and start drowning, right? But when you're on land, or when you're like, if you are on water and then when you make it back to land, you feel kind of secure again or safe again. And that's what, birr is, you could say. That it's firmness, it's that the goodness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing, it's something firm. It has a certain place, and even if culture or situation changes in one way or another, the goodness remains fixed. Okay? And so this ayah, it talks about the highest level of goodness. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala defines it over here. Right? So if you want to know who a truly righteous person is, who a good person is, they have these qualities. Okay? So what are these qualities that the person must have? First of all, وَلَكِنَّ الْبِرَّ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةِ وَالْكِتَابِ وَالنَّبِيِّينَ. So all these beliefs that a person has to have. Okay, so they have to have belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have to know that, and they have to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a prerequisite for goodness. The problem is, like, if someone has good manners but they don't believe in Allah, do they get rewarded for it? No. Okay? The person has to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order to be rewarded in the hereafter for the goodness. If a person is just good because they were raised that way or they have good manners, but they don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they will be rewarded in this dunya but not in the akhirah. Okay? So for example, if an atheist has good manners and is a really good person, that could be true. They'll get their reward in this dunya, not the akhirah. Okay?
Yeah, but what if they're, what if they're like not Muslim, like what?
Huh?
वो कुरान ये डिस्क्राइब करता है ना कि किसको अजर में मतलब कौन.
But I'm saying, what if they're a good person but not Muslim?
That's what I'm saying. So that person will not be rewarded in the akhirah.
Yeah, but what if they don't know what Islam is?
Well, that's different. That's a different situation. This is someone who just doesn't believe or rejects Islam or whatever it may be. Okay? So belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is supposed to be your first, like you could say, motivation. Okay? Then belief in the akhirah, in the last day. So you have to believe in accountability. You have to believe that you're going to be accountable in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You'll be questioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And so this is, you could say, the second motivation. So the first motivation is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make Him happy, and like we say, raditu billahi rabba, that we are happy to have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as our Rabb, right? So the second motivation is akhirah, right? Because there's pain versus pleasure. So in the akhirah, if a person does righteousness in this dunya, in the akhirah, that person will have Jannah, inshallah. If the person sinned and did whatever they wanted and they went against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're going to feel a lot of pain. Okay, hellfire. So this pain versus pleasure, I guess, it defines. Some people are motivated by pain. When things get really, really tough, that motivates them and they do better, they change. And some people, they see good in front of them and they run towards goodness. And so that's what motivates them or changes them. And so this has to be like, there's different times in our life that, different types of motivation happen. Like when you're younger, what do you think works more on someone, pain or pleasure?
When you're what?
When like you're younger, what's better for you, pain, like being scared of something, or having pleasure, that a lot of things?
Pleasure.
Being scared.
Oh.
When you're young, you need someone to keep you scared, basically.
Otherwise,
Okay.
you're not gonna be.
Otherwise, like if it's just pleasure that you're going after, when you're young, that's not gonna really motivate you. When you're older, then you need less scaring but more pleasure. Okay? Because if someone's like 12, 13, 14 years old and they're not scared of anyone, are they gonna do whatever they want? Yeah. They're gonna start following their desires left and right. But as you get older, then you're starting to work for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you don't need as much pain or to be scared as much. Okay? So that's the second thing, you need to believe in the last day for accountability. And that motivates a person. Now the third thing you have to believe in is angels. Right? And these three things actually are kind of connected. So angels, the book, and the messengers. Right? And this is the chain too. The angels bring down the book is given to the messengers, and then the messages, of course, or the messengers give it to the people. Right? Without wahi, without revelation, would we know right from wrong?
Maybe.
Well, inside we have something that's kind of teaching us right or wrong. Okay? Fitrah. But most part, we wouldn't know how to follow our fitrah unless we had the Quran or like a book or wahi from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Unless we have the guidance, otherwise then
Yeah.
everyone uses their own fitrah.
Exactly. So every human has their own definition of good. Okay? So every person has a different way of thinking about it. There's ethics and morals. You could say that everyone, like for example, everyone agrees murdering someone is bad. Okay? Everyone agrees that lying and cheating someone is like bad, right? And so there's a lot of things that you could say that are black and white, that again, those come from our fitrah. It just common sense almost, that we know that certain things are evil or bad, right? But there's a lot of gray areas that come too, okay? So, in movies, there's like the evil guy, right? Or the really bad guy. And a lot of times that bad guy, do you think he thinks he's doing bad? No. How do they show him?
Like he's very confident.
Confident in his evil.
Yes.
Like he's so confident in what, even though he's really bad, he has justified to himself to be bad. Like he's doing actually something good, right? So this definition gets changed from here and there sometimes. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala needed to send wahi or revelation to us to tell us the instruction from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to tell us what is good. Okay? It comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then the numbers of things. For example, how much zakat to give, how many prayers we have to pray, okay, how many rak'ah we have to pray, fasting in Ramadan, how to be good to one's wife and children, all these different things, okay? So if a person doesn't follow these things, then they'll have a lot of chaos, you could say, in their lives as well. Okay, now, so remember I said that every person has their own idea of good. The prophets, they were, you could say, teachers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So they were sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a message to teach us. They were perfect, okay? Our imams can make mistakes, but our Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even the prophets, they would make small mistakes, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would correct them, right? Because remember, they're humans too. And this is why we have to believe in those things again. So believing on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Believing in, what did I say next?
Both.
No, akhirah. Okay? Then believing in the angels, believing in the messages or the message, believing in the prophets. Okay? So you have to believe, and that's the core thing, number one thing you need to have. Then the next part of the ayah, وَآتَ الْمَالَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ ذَوِي الْقُرْبَى. So وَآتَ الْمَالَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ means that they give charity despite their love for it. They love wealth, but they give it anyways. Or it means that they give for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so much that they still give. Okay? Or lastly, they give what they love. لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. Right? That none of you will truly believe until you give what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what you love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all of these different things, they give charity for that. Now, even though you love the wealth, okay, you give it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you give what you love, and this greed inside of us, okay, that develops when a person gives sadaqah or zakah, it goes away, okay? It goes away, that this greed and stinginess and all these things, when a person gives sadaqah, it goes away, it lessens. So is money the only thing people can give? What else can people give?
There's a lot of things people can give.
Like?
They can give their services.
Okay, they can give services. Each one of us has skills. You could do that for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You volunteer, for example, 1 hour, 2 hours a week. Maybe some of you are good at coding. Some of you are strong. Some of you are good at math. Whatever. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed everyone with different blessings, skills, a skill set. You use that to help someone else. Okay? Without expecting anything back from them. And so you help them in this way, inshallah. This is a type of charity. What are other types of charity?
Like money.
Giving money. Okay, it's hard-earned money, right? You work hard for your money. Now you go give in charity, right?
Yeah.
Your clothing, right? You have extra clothing or even brand new clothing. You give that in sadaqah, right? You give someone else who needs it. So there's so many different types of sadaqah or, that someone can give, inshallah. So who do you give to, right? Who do you give to? عَلَى حُبِّهِ ذَوِي الْقُرْبَى. The ones who are closest to you. So the relatives, you should give to them first. Why is it hard to give to relatives?
You do not want to see them more than you because you feel jealous.
Okay, so there's a lot of times there's jealousy, so you don't want to give them, and then they pass you, right? What else?
A lot of times.
Well, I don't want you just answering. Who else? Why is it so difficult to give to relatives?
Because you don't like them sometimes.
Why?
Because they're annoying. You
Yes.
Just can't stand them.
So sometimes because you know,
Like from the way behind the now,
they what?
from their past, you know how they're.
So you know them for so long, you're so
Know what
close
they're
to
gonna do
them.
with their money.
Okay, you know them so well that a lot of times they, they make fun of you, put you down, and then that person you're giving them sadaqah, like for example, you're giving them gifts and everything to make them feel better. It's just like very, very difficult. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ذَوِي الْقُرْبَى. So give to your relatives, close relatives first. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, it says, so if you know someone needs help, they don't ask, but you still give it, okay? And you're probably not going to even get a thank you from them, but you still give it to them, right? And a lot of times we do that. We would rather give $1, okay, to our own. We would rather give $1 to like a homeless person than to give it to our own brother or cousin or different people. Oh, why should we give it to them? They don't deserve it.
Yeah, some people
Right?
don't.
Well, that's true too, but sometimes this happens where we're willing to give things to someone we have no, relationship with, but with a person who we do know, we don't want to give it to them.
Yeah.
Okay? Then ذَوِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْيَتَامَى. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says orphans. So He says that you have to give to the orphans. Who are the orphans? Now these are people, of course, who their father passed away before they were, Yeah,
Before they were.
I have a question.
yeah.
We started at 10:20.
Okay, don't worry about that, right? I don't care.
I have to go to sleep.
No, you don't, not yet. So, واليتامى,
Senior one.
that these orphans, that if you're going to the masjid and you see people there, they're orphans, or like you know of the situation of families, then you're going to stay away from them. I mean, you're going to feel sorry, not sorry, but you're going to feel sad and you want to help them out. If you have no connection with the masjid, if you have no connection with the community, you're not going to be able to help those people out. Same thing, wal masakin, the people who don't ask. Masakin are people who might be working, but they live in Seattle or San Francisco or LA, where the rent is like $3,000 a month and they're making $3,000 a month. So they don't make enough to survive and they're struggling. So instead of asking, okay, they don't ask, they feel ashamed to ask, but they're struggling, they're living in their car, they're living, in difficult situations. So you look for people like that and you help them out. And masakin, it comes from sakan. Sakan, like it could mean home, but sakan also like sukoon, right? Like something that comes to stop. No, sakan could mean something that stops. Like sakan, maskan, like, you come to rest at home, right? So it comes to a stop. So their wealth or their risk, almost you could say, came to a stop. So someone gets really, really sick, they can't work anymore. Okay, there another situation. Something happens and their income stops. They lose their job. All these different situations. That person, you need to help them out. And the only way you'll know a miskeen person is these people don't ask. Is from knowing the people in the community. Then the people who travel. These could be people who travel for knowledge. These are people who are just traveling, right? Ibn Sabil, right? The son of the path, it's called. So these people are traveling, and this was something that was always, something really loved by the people back then. There was no hotels or anything. So in Makkah, for example, the Hujjaj, when they would go and stay with people in their houses. Okay, and people loved having them over because they saw the barakah and they really competed for them to host people at their house. Okay, so this doesn't really exist anymore, but we should be happy when guests come over. We should be excited and really, really happy. And they are a gift, basically, for us who are coming to our house. And we should be excited for that. Okay? The next thing is sa'ilin, the ones who ask. Okay? So the ones who are asking and they're just stuck. So they're stuck to the point that they just have to ask. They have to beg almost. We try to help those people out. Then those people who are in some type of like a crushing debt. So student loan, depressed, child slavery, indentured servants. Like basically it used to be a slave. So if someone is in such a situation where they're like enslaved by someone and you get them out of that situation, get them out of that debt, get them out of that depression, this is a category also. Then what do? They establish prayer, salah and zakah. They give zakah. Okay? So all of these previous things that are given before was sadaqah, and then this specifically is mentioned to give zakah as well. So symbolic, remember I said, hukukullah, hukukul ibad, and we'll stop here inshallah, and then we'll finish tomorrow. All right? Let me see how much is left. Yeah, we'll finish tomorrow inshallah. So no, not yet, we're not done yet. So hukukul, establish is aqim as-salah, to establish the prayer, this is hukukullah. These are the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And giving zakah signifies, or is a metaphor, you could say, of hukukul ibad, the rights of the people. Okay? And so we need to make sure that we do both of these, keep both of these, and not just focus on one and leave the other. Inshallah, we'll continue the lesson tomorrow. Jazakallah khair.